Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my completed Midori journals. So this one is the Midori A6 in blank and this one is the Midori B6 in blank. I wanted to try a new size and I'm gonna show you a couple of pages that I've worked on. So this one is not to be mistaken with the Hobonichi Day Free, so I simply change the notebook inside, and this one I journaled here from May to September of 2021, and then here from October to December of 2021. Although this one is a bit of like a mix of random stuff because I got the diarist, and so that became my primary journal, and this one became more of like a mini scrapbook, if I would say so myself, or random list and journal full of ephemera and whatnot. So let's get started first. So this one is a Midori blank A6. As I mentioned, I wanted to get this because I realized that I don't really need the day free and I just needed something that would fit this cover. So this is the camp cover, one of my favorite Hobonichi covers, and let's take a look at inside. This one was a bit of a transition because I had more space to write with blank pages, so I capitalized on that. And April was also a very conflicting month for me. We had to do a couple of things here at home, and I also started working on studio vlogs. It's just nice to see everything like sort of come together, and like putting it here as like a recap or like a reference. And there are a lot of things that also I wanted to try. This was timely because this was Q2. So you have here, I put self-initiated projects, like I started to spend less time on Instagram. I would take less coffee. I'm still working on that, and waking up earlier. I have been doing that, but currently, as I'm filming this has not been the case. So I also tried to insert a lot of like typewritten stuff because this was the time that I got my typewriter, and so I wanted to incorporate that in my journaling habit. I keep forgetting about it actually because I have to go type in the typewriter and then tear out the sheet, so that's something I definitely have to develop overall. And then I did a life lately spread, so I was pretty much in like a pink phase. I try to, you know, switch back into different colorways depending on the stationery I have. This is probably one of my favorites, so I added in like stuff that I bought, and these printables are actually from the Patreon art club that I have. And then here I started to rearrange my desk, so I printed out those photos. When you print a big photo like this is actually quite large, then you don't really have too much space anymore. So if you don't like writing, this is definitely a great option. You can just like add captions as you go. So this one was very important. I clearly remember this page because this was the time that I was starting to taper off medication. It was really hard and I'm still currently adjusting, but it is what it is. Then I started to incorporate some films. So you have Variety and Boyhood. Super love these films, and I like how I incorporated the elements and like the nature themed, you know, situation with the greens and pinks. This one was during our journaling hangout. We did the self-care habits prompt. I find it a bit hard to write, admittedly, with A6, so that's something I'm going to tell you. And so this is also why I decided to switch back to A5. So I was in a food phase, obviously. These were from the stamp I designed with Everyday Explorers Co. I'll link it in the description. So my journal has always been like a mix of, you know, reviews, life lately, takeouts, happy mail from Job, and random things that I sort of like put on in terms of how my life is going. So for example, this one I got my book offer. This was from a post by Matt Devella. Super love his work. And then it was really more of an avenue for me to really experiment on how I can incorporate the current stationery I have, as well as what I want to journal about. I think that's something that I try to really experiment with, mostly when it comes to my journal spreads. I don't really think too much about, oh, I have to journal about this today or that today. It was more like I wanted to express my creativity, and once I get that inspiration, I just go for it. wanted to share this because this washi design really hit the spot, bestseller in the shop, and I was really happy with it. And then this was the working cover of the diarist, so that was pretty cool. I did have a lot of empty pages as well. Sometimes it happens. So sometimes I would also use up the full spread. For example, for this one for Army Navy, I always keep the packaging of Army Navy for obvious reasons. And I wanted to also experiment on different themes. So this one I was having an academia theme going on. I was starting to know more about academia, and it was also the design during the June Patreon digital downloads. This one was the legendary BTS spread that I did, which I did not expect to fly off, but it was fun. So first time working on like a violet themed spread, which I actually enjoyed. So I think the post is still up on Instagram, so I'll link it also if you want to see like behind the scenes of working on it. And then media lately, I personally like spreads like this because the left side gives me a little more room to experiment with collage and different elements, and the right side is just a summary of things that I've been consuming. So this is where I actually pull out ideas for my year-ender journaling, so you can also check that out. I'll link everything in the description. MD paper is also fountain pen friendly, so then I would start to swatch my inks as well and use it as a way for me to really experiment on different ink and different pens that I have. So happy mail from Intan. My whole Olivia Rodrigo face, this sour face, has a bit of parallel connection to the BTS because of the violet color, which I really love. And I'm newly a convert because I'm always like team warm. I really like my warm colors, but you know, experimenting is always key here. So in July we reached 200 patrons. I had to put that out. Super big achievement. And then more violet experiments. But I also learned in 2021 that I don't have to fill in every single page. You can just put in a note and that's it. I had a phase where I bought like several bags of Chamberlain coffee, so I wanted to try the flavors. This one is a printable from my Patreon, and then it sort of matched with like the cold brew tea, these colors, and I like how they all sort of meshed well together. This was a random illustration that I did. Sometimes I would print photos, but I'm not very uniform when it comes to sticking photos. Sometimes I would stick like a collage like this or a full photo. So you also may have noticed that the poster sizes of the films and TV shows that I watch or books I read, they're not also the same size. So I wasn't really uniform with that, and I'm not really very much OC with that because this is by default a blank journal, so I don't really have points of measurement. But I wanted to share this fun fact. So this, can you see this really tiny sticker? That's actually the initial size of the journal stickers I wanted to include for the diaries. Obviously, they're so small, so I ended up reusing them for the remainder of my journal spreads. You'll also notice that in some occasions, I started to use date stamps. And of course, in this case, it's very, very crucial to have date stamps because it's undated by default. And so having these as markers of my dates are really important to me. So apart from that, I also worked with having index stickers. So every time a month starts, I would stick on the index sticker. This is from Traveler's Factory. And then once it finishes, I move on to the next month and then I put in the next sticker. So that gives me an idea into like how many months I can fit in one journal. This past, I think the remainder of these were, you know, more of like, I don't know, towards the end I get a bit lazy. And I don't know if it's like something that I inherently like accumulate because, you know, towards the end you have this like thick chunk of pages and then you have lesser space to sort of like get comfortable. I think my peak is usually like the first few pages and up to the middle, but you know, it really shifts from time to time. And the last ones here, there is a receipt of my Hobonichi purchase with my friends, and then I had a whole like folklore phase, I was watching the Long Pond Studio sessions. That was really fun. I have to rewatch it again soon. And lastly, these are some more inks that I got from a 𝚑𝚗 because we opened a 𝚑𝚗 Discord group. Anyway, it's part of our Discord group in Patreon, so we did a lot of like purchasing of different inks. So yeah, that's the end of this MD paper Midori A6 journal. Obviously, I haven't finished it, but it is what it is, and it's a very thick BB. So moving on, I wanted to show you this B6 one. I wanted to explain also why I got a B6. So, by the way, this journal has been with me since 2016. So, it says here, ABC Daily Sketches. So, I initially bought this because back then in 2016, I had no idea what an MD journal was. Anything that I see in Loft or Tokyo Hands that piques my interest, I just get it and add to cart. And this wasn't very expensive. So, during that time, I actually did not use this journal as much, and as you can see, it became dirty over the years. This is one of the downsides of having the MD journal Midori journal, because they're cream, so you have to put plastic cover. Of course, I didn't know that back then, so this additional paper cover, I asked 𝚘𝚐 to buy it for me when she was inscribed. Thanks, 𝚘𝚐. But me being very clumsy, it's also very dirty, and I have an A6 Midori that has the same fate. Like, the cover is really dirty. So, this paper cover, I guess, does not sit well with me, but I should have gotten a plastic cover next time. So, future Abbey will take note of that. So, I pulled out this B6 because actually it has, let me see. I think it's still here. See, I have notes from my first meeting with my publisher for my journaling book. I didn't even remove it anymore. So, yeah, these are old notes. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I can use this for the remainder of the year because I didn't want to get another A6, so that would mean I would have 3. And I was also thinking about how I don't really want to spend on new notebooks because this was also the time that, you know, 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 season came out, planner season came out. I got all my new planners and journals, and I didn't know where to stock or where to like document my remainder, like Q4. So I pulled this out, and instead of selling it, I decided to adopt it. So this is what we have. Now this one is a hodgepodge of different things, mostly because I wasn't sure if I wanted this to exist as its own journal because, as I mentioned, I used the diaries from September to December diligently. So most of the main content was there, and here was like an offshoot, but I would also print stuff and journal about it here. So we start with September, you know, 𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘 season. If you want to see the unboxing video, I'm gonna link it down below as well. Of course, a dedicated page for Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. Really love this K-drama. And then I started to think about whether I wanted this to be like an annotation or like a notes journal or like a media journal. So initially that was the route I was going for. So I read Salary News book. And then I also have notes here on the newsletter that I read from Ask Polly, Super Love Ask Polly's newsletters. And then I also did a couple of movie reviews. This was the time that I was like deep into watching new movies. So I watched Palm Springs, really great film. And then we have Interstellar, a very emotional roller coaster. Christopher Nolan did it again. And also a couple of highlights. So for example, I launched the diarist in September. So here's a photo of me holding the diarist. I swatched a couple of fountain pen inks. And then we have more hodgepodge of random things, as well as mostly a mix of media. I think this was until like halfway in. I rewatched Fight for My Way. Cinderella Story was on Netflix. Super love this, and I rewatched it again. This film, super nice also. Luca, make sure to watch it. It's from Disney. I did not expect to cry, but it's one of those Pixar films. And so this one is probably one of my favorite spreads here. Only Murders in the Building, really great series from Hulu. Selena Gomez is great, and also Steve Martin and Martin Short. And then I got my new phone. We call it Aubie because AU is gold, a gold element, and I got the gold color. Haha. Thanks Sophie for the for the pun. And then I wanted to really capitalize on the B6 size. It's a bit tricky because it's slimmer. Feels like a mix of, it's like the medium, it's like the average of a TN Passport and TN Regular. So this was not much of a challenge for me, but I wanted to really use up the space. So I would create layouts that have, you know, predominant elements and then some text and then some borders. This was one of my favorites also. Also, I love Sweet Ecstasy. It's a really delicious burger place. Now I'm craving for Sweet Ecstasy. Also one of my favorite pages because of the brown tones. These are swatches from inks that Steph gave me for Christmas. Dunkin' Donuts, important. And so I really wanted to play around with whatever color scheme I was working with. This is probably one of my favorites. I got a couple of new washies from Jet Pens thanks to Chingay, and then I made pasabay. And then these are actually, this is a pet tape. So I am still getting used to PET tapes rather, because they're kind of hard to, like, I have to peel off stuff. It's very thick. We had the YouTube Next Up, farewell party, graduation, and then more ephemera. I tried to really incorporate a lot of things, but towards the end of December, I was just sticking all of the notes and tags that people have given me. So as you can see, they are here. Letters, notes from clients and friends. I don't really have anything else to update here, but basically that is it. So these are my two Midori journals for 2021. Again, this is the A6 size, this is the B6 size. Let me know which one you liked, and I hope you get some ideas and inspiration for your own journaling journey through some of the pages that I've shown you. If you want to really dive into journaling and join us for monthly journaling hangouts or have a look at my journal pages like photos and regular updates, make sure to join our Patreon art club at patreon.com/abc. I share a lot of ideas, as well as I dive deep into some of the journal spreads that I create. So I hope you can check it out and you can support this channel by becoming a patron. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I'll also link a couple of completed journal videos down below if you want to check out a couple more of my journals that I've finished in the past few years. Take care and see you soon. Bye!